Today's discussion is light. So, among all the 8 aspects, light is the aspect when it comes to us, when we are in almost lot of stillness is needed to see the light. So, I think one of the devotees was saying to Master that I'm not able to, I think the conversation was about light, and this when the discussion of light came, this devotee said that whenever God gives me that experience, I'll take it. And Master, I think I'm paraphrasing it, he said, he was little strong in his voice, and he said, no, you should try to aim for it, like try to become still and ask God for it and try to see the light in the stillness. So Master is maybe through his disciple telling to all of us, we need to try hard. It's not sufficient to just say, God, whenever you come to me, come to me. No, try to go for it and try to ask for his presence, ask for his light, and try to become one with it. And also, I think as Master says, the greatest prayer is once you ask for that and try to say that you have to share it with all. Give me thyself so that I can share you with all. So I think that's a higher prayer, so that in that way we are also expanding. It's not just our ego or selfishness, we are sharing God with all. And today, as I was trying to prepare for this topic, I came across Jyotishan Deviji's blog about Raniban and Induban. They were like dear friends of Swamiji, and then even Jyotishan Deviji had met them. So I'm going to repeat this story. Some might know this. So Raniban ji, her house was visited by many saints, even Neem Karoli Baba, Anand Mahima, and many other saints used to visit her house. And she also had visions of Babaji. And now Rani Banji is no more in her body, I think. Induban, her son. So her son, Induban, has visions of Rani Ban, and they speak through their dreams. And the story now goes to the scene where Rani Banji has this conversation with Babaji. So I'm going to read it out. So here Rani Ban is speaking with Babaji. And here I think Rani Ban is asking Babaji, why don't you do something to stop all the darkness we see in the world today? I think it's so relevant right now. She's asking on behalf of all of us to Babaji, why don't you do something to stop all the darkness we see in the world today? And now Babaji replies back. He says, darkness has its necessary place, since creation depends upon the duality of both light and dark for its very existence. But although I cannot stop the darkness, it is my job to help increase the light. I'll repeat the last sentence which Babaji says, but although I cannot stop the darkness, it is my job to help increase the light. How true it is. And taking this to our own spiritual life and to all the trials and challenges we face, how nice it is when we, on this yogic path, we try to focus on the light. All we do is trying to increase the light. The suggestion which Master gives, the quickest way to reach God is try to keep our mind focused here at the spiritual eye. What happens? We draw the energy here. As all the energy starts coming, we are uplifting the consciousness. As we uplift the consciousness, the thoughts and everything of the lower, darker realms completely stop because we are uplifting our consciousness here. So how good a suggestion this is, because when we start only focusing on the light, if we focus on the light in others and the light in ourselves, then it will be much more easier and quicker way to God. And like Master used to say, the greatest sin is to call yourself sinner, because really sin is nothing but we are channeling the energy out of ignorance in a different direction. But when we channel the same energy inward and upward and trying to serve others and trying to love God, how good it is. So in the same way, if we are able to like this channel the light, the joy comes. All other qualities are all interdependent in these aspects of God. How nice it is that we are able to like channel this light. And all of us, I think, on a practical level, we all are, I think most of us here are Kriyabans or do meditation, practice meditation. So in the same way, each time we meditate, try to go deeper in each meditation and try to share that light. Because at the end of meditation, it's an important thing that we all do. We rub our hands and share the blessings with everyone, share the light. And light has been an interesting thing, I think, even in scriptures. So it's always the light that has played an important role. And now I'm also thinking of light on a physical reality. Many times I've seen in Ananda, as I stay in the community of monks here, we also turn on the lights many times when it gets dark. It's a reminder for us to keep our consciousness high. So whenever we see it getting darker here, we try to, I think in all our homes we do this. As the evening comes, we start turning on all the lights, sometimes signifying that we are using the light, we are dispelling the darkness. And also, as I was preparing this, I was also tuning into one more small aspect, which I'm going to share before passing it down to Jamalji. So, there is a book called Cities of Light, which Swamiji had written. In that, he writes how cities are well designed and how the just by focusing on how the people, like for example in Ananda community, we all meditate together, or we try to meditate now using the Zoom wherever we are. We try to chant, we try to then serve as instruments. So what we are doing is we are bringing light into the thing, and as we include more people, we are increasing the light. And in the same way, we try to, by all of these practices, we try to dispel the darkness. And if you'd like, please tune into this Cities of Light. There are many more good suggestions where Swamiji tells about how to dispel the darkness, and how in the higher ages, as we are in the early Dwapar Yuga, how as the ages, as we start going in higher ages, and how the cities are more cities of light, and how people try to tune into more harmony, and using all these meditation and seva try to be more harmonious with each other, and then we'll be able to do much more to ourselves and to the society. And I've seen this in the monastery. Even though we are few of us, our meetings are shorter, somehow with the harmony which has come with many years of meditation now, we are just able to do much more, so much more. And I think all of you at your city centers can feel the same thing. The harmony which comes, even sometimes without speaking, you just know what is the next thing to do when we both are speaking, or like that. And now I would request Jamalji to now share on the topic of light.
Thanks, Premdas. I'm going to pick it up right from there because that's super inspiring to me. There's a book that Swamiji wrote. Hi, everyone. There's a book that Swamiji wrote called Cities of Light, and I just love that book. And in the beginning, Swamiji just has imagine a city where, and then he says something positive, imagine a city where, and one of those things is imagine a city where everyone who lives in it has a say in what goes on, and the meetings that happen are harmonious. And when everyone's living to please God and is only trying to think, what does God want to happen here? And not, I know, I'm right, and having ego and wanting their own way, so much more can happen. Life can be so beautiful. And anyway, the world will go into this with or without us. The yugas will spin right along, just like the sun comes up every morning and goes down every evening, and the planet will go through changes and will become a place of light, and it will be beautiful. But it's in our own interest, if we decide to cooperate with that and start to live lives of light and work together cooperatively to try to make this planet a better place. I want to keep things light. And I was just thinking, I have a friend, we've been on the spiritual path for a long time together. When he was younger, he really liked to eat. And in the beginning, when he was in the ashram, sometimes a group of us would go out to meals or whatever. And by the way, I'm not criticizing him. I also go through phases where I really like to eat. But anyway, we would go out and he would ask the waiter, so I need something heavy. And all of us would kind of look at him like, how spiritual is that? Nobody would say anything, but he'd kind of get some raised eyebrows. And then after a few weeks or months or something, we were out at a restaurant again. And he said, he was asking the waiter, what is this meal? And he said, is it substantial? And he was wanting to ask, I need something heavy here that's going to fill me up. But I just love that word. I didn't say anything. I didn't raise an eyebrow, but I thought it was interesting. And now here's the point. We all go through times where we need a meal that's heavy, or we need something substantial, or we just need comfort. But the opposite also is there, that there is a space within us where our feelings are light, where our mood is light and joyful and playful. And to me, this is more important than, I very well may in 5 minutes start talking about all the supernatural things of seeing light and spiritual eye and turning our body into light. But more than all of that, I like to talk from where we all are right now. And it's important that we all can figure out one way or another how to find this space within ourselves where we feel light, where we feel that everything's okay. Even if tough times come, that there's a space within ourselves that can just stay light. I think a large part of that is having a good sense of humor and not taking ourselves too seriously, not taking God's drama too seriously. Humor is in a sense a way of expressing non-attachment, of not being attached to God's dream drama and just seeing the strange things that happen in this world as part of his creation and just taking it in a light mood. And I just think that's important on the long journey of the spiritual path. Now, of course, if we have wisdom and we know that we are not this physical body, and we know that there is much, much more there, then it becomes very easy to take things in a light manner. Even if people die or treat us unkindly, if people die, we know they don't really die, that there is a world made of light beyond this one, and that life goes on, and that life is eternal. If people treat us badly, but we have deep enough experience on the inside to know that somehow, somewhere in them, also God is in there, and that they're just expressing something that is not light, that is not quite right, something of the night, something dark, but that's not who they truly are, that they also are children of light. But we have to have that experience, and that experience, it grows within us on the spiritual path as we grow. Speaking of light, I'm reminded of Swamiji's song, that we can't beat at the darkness with a stick. That if there is evil, if there are people who don't seem to be good, and let's face it, there is evil in this world, but what is the way to overcome this evil? That if we just go at it with sticks and swords and guns and bombs, that's never going to be the way. But if we go at it with light, this will be the way. And I don't mean to make a weapon out of light that will dematerialize our enemies. I mean that we have a consciousness that has a deeper understanding. This is an interesting story. Someone once asked Mahatma Gandhi if there was a murderer, someone who had gone crazy and was in a village and was killing people, and then you were there, Gandhi, what would you do next? And Gandhi's answer was, I would offer myself next to be killed. And Master said, no, not a good answer. That he might just kill Gandhi and then go on and kill 200 more villagers, and that would accomplish absolutely nothing. It might be better in that circumstance to kill the murderer. However, Gandhi did have a certain magnetism, a certain light. And it's quite possible that if the murderer went to kill him, that he just wouldn't be able to do it, that somehow he would just kind of hand over his weapon, turn himself in, due to Gandhi's magnetism. But we have to have that kind of magnetism. You've all heard at Ananda Village that there was a forest fire, and they all had to work to help to try to put it out. They weren't so successful. Many of the homes burned down. During all of that, there was a man in the middle of the fire, and he sat, I don't know which mudra he sat down with. He sat down and started meditating. Swami yelled at him, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to ask God to bring some rain and take care of the fire." Swami said, "Get up, get a shovel and start putting dirt on that fire." You don't have it like that. That if you had that kind of spiritual power and you actually could ask God to make it rain, fine, but you don't. You're not at that level of spiritual development. So go do something practical. So now, if we are in a mood and our feelings, if we're not feeling very light, that, yeah, we could just kind of sit down and hope we're going to feel better. I've tried that many times. I usually end up nodding off in meditation when that happens. But if I decide I'm going to go find a brother brahmachari who happens to be swimming around in the light, serving others, and I ask him, "Hey, do you need a little help?" That is practical. That helps get my energy up. Sometimes I simply go for a walk. Sometimes I listen to Swamiji's music. There's many different things that we can do. We can chant, all kinds of different things. We can just go get some exercise. That is part of Master's teachings, to just simply get physical exercise. Because sometimes we get a little moody. You think, I don't want to energize. Okay, all right. What will you do? And this is we all have this, is a battle. The real battle of light and dark is going on within our own selves. And it's ultimately within our consciousness. But we just have to keep, in the best way that we can, turning back towards the light. And turning back towards that light really means turning back towards joy, turning back towards God, turning back towards a higher awareness. And it's constant. It goes south and we turn back north, and it goes south and we turn back north. But in all of that, we're growing and we're learning. And if we make mistakes, there's absolutely no use in beating ourselves up and feeling guilty about it. Because on some level, we are who we think we are. And if we start affirming, "I'm no good, I did this mistake, I did that," then that's what we are in that moment. But if we blame God and say, "You did the mistake through me, and now God, you have to do better," and we say, "Yes, the mistake was made, but I'm going to do my best not to do it again. And now I'm going to head off in a light, happy direction and do something good for others," then we'll ultimately get there. And ultimately, we will achieve all of these states that we read about in Autobiography of a Yogi. I guess they're all right to talk about, as long as we find them inspiring. Sometimes these states seem so high that it just seems like, really? Are you kidding me? I'm going to dematerialize my body. It just seems like just so far away. And so if we don't find that inspiring today, we could just put that on a shelf. I at least like to believe that there's some human beings that have worked through all the difficulties. And I believe it took work on their part, that it wasn't just picnic day, and one day after going to the picnic they just, "Oh yeah, it's all light, I'm light, I'll dematerialize my body now." That slowly, one kriya after the other, one good deed after the other, one deep meditation after the other, and I'm sure there was lots of not deep meditations interspersed in there, that slowly after a few lifetimes that they figured it all out and understood. And so they stand as role models for us. But they're not just standing there saying, "You slob." I made it. Now, what's wrong with you? They also, in the most compassionate way, are lifting down two hands to help us. Babaji's putting the thought in somebody else's mind who's more on our level to come and help us in this way today. And that's his job, and he's doing it quite perfectly. And all we have to do is open our hearts up to this ray, live in this light, and start to see that there is a divine plan behind all of this, that all of the dark things are ultimately for our own strength, for our own wisdom, and that life is made from joy. Let's see how the time goes. Maybe I'll end with this story. Let's see. But there was a devotee in an ashram, and he'd been there for a few years. And he felt like some of the devotees knew some secret teaching that he didn't know. And, he kind of just wondered, because they all seemed light and happy. And he thought there's this secret teaching. That must be the thing. The guru never gave me the secret teaching. If you just would give me that, then I too would be light and happy. So he kind of thought about it for a while, and then he got up his courage. He thought, I'll ask the guru. So some more time went by, and finally, one day after satsang, all the other disciples left, and he was there alone with the guru. And he thought, this is it. This is my moment. Guruji, is there a secret teaching that maybe might be time for you to share now? The master said, amazing that you asked. Yes, there's a secret teaching, but I'm not going to give it to you right now. Come back, keep meditating every day, come back in a month, and then I'll give you the secret teaching. So the disciples super elated, so happy. Secret teaching, I knew it. I knew there's a secret teaching. 1 month, I can wait for that. I'll be a good disciple. I'll do my kriyas, all this. So 1 month later, he comes back, and finally they're alone. And the disciple, he's just filled with joy. He just is beside himself. He knows now he's getting the secret teaching. So, and the guru knows everything that's going on. So come here. Time for you to receive the secret teaching. And so he whispers, the guru whispers into the disciple's ear, this is the highest, the most secret teaching. Then he whispers, take it easy. And that's that. So that's your secret teaching. Take it easy. And that's all there is to it. That's it out of me. It's been a joy being with all of you.